Welcome to another episode of Pilots Say What, where we get to hear what pilots have to say. And today I'll be talking once more with Austin. We've spoken with you not too long ago, but I think that there's some questions I didn't really get to ask that I wouldn't mind getting to talk to you about. So we'll be getting into several different sorts of things, but let's start off by having you introduce yourself, if you wouldn't mind, Austin.
Yeah, sure. Name's Austin Tujo. As he said, not too long ago, I was here hanging out with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a flight instructor here at Thrust. Went through the whole program back in July of 24, and
Nice.
been instructor here for a few months
Yeah.
and enjoying it every day.
Well, we're happy to have you. And for those who are listening, my name is Zach. I host this podcast once a week. We put it on YouTube, Apple Music, and Spotify. So if you're on any of those platforms, it really helps us out if you give us a rating or a thumbs up, something like that. But if you stick around to the end, then that's when you should probably subscribe, because maybe you like what you're listening to. Maybe you're a future pilot or someone who's in pilot in training, or maybe you're a career pilot already. But hopefully we get some insights for you. That's my goal here. One thing I want to ask you about, Austin, is you did your pilot training in 2024. Take me back to when you first started pilot training. Like, where were you at in your life? What did things look like for you? Can you paint a picture for me?
Yeah, I was kind of in limbo, I guess.
Yeah.
I thought I wanted to go one direction, decided to go another.
Mm-hmm.
Last time we talked, I was going to go to vet school.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife and I was living in Mississippi.
Right.
So I figured out that that's probably not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Started looking at flying and ended up
Mm-hmm.
finding Thrust. So, but point in my life, I was completed college. I was on my way to a different career.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't getting a lot of satisfaction from that, so started finding something else. But even if you are enjoying what you do, there's never a bad time to get started in flying. So,
Right. And we've been talking to a lot of people who happen to have changed careers in order to start flight training, which happen to be with Thrust. And I think that makes for an interesting conversation, at least to me.
yeah,
Changing careers is a big deal, no matter what situation I think you're in life, because you put time and effort in towards what you were working towards before, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna pivot. Did it
right,
feel like you were kind of did? How did it feel trying to change your direction?
right. Definitely a challenge. Not so much like the financial side of things to
Hmm.
change. Like obviously going into being a pilot's pretty lucrative overall.
Right.
It was more about the unknown, right? I come
Hmm.
in a background that has no aviation experience whatsoever. Most of my family is actually pretty terrified of flying because they
Yeah.
just don't know much about it. So that was just a big unknown. Like, what do you want to do, right? I felt like I was
Right.
out of college. I had this career path that was lined out that I could have continued to follow that would have worked out for me.
Right.
But I was just not getting that satisfaction in it. So now I was like, okay, what do I do instead? So that was more of the scary part of it is
Hmm.
one, no one to really talk to in regards to flying.
Right.
And then two, not knowing even the first step.
Right.
The first step nowadays is Google. So that's where I started. Um, I'm married. So
Hmm.
talking with my wife, I was like, hey, what if I pivot and instead of going this route, I go to a different route?
Right.
Um, Love her to death. She's a great support system. So she was like, do what makes you happy.
Hmm.
And she was like, if we're going to go in a little bit of debt one way or the other, do which one makes you the happiest. So
Right.
that's what we did.
Yeah, and I think it's nice when you come home happier,
Yes.
too, right? It gives you a little more bandwidth.
Oh, man, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I don't mind going home to my lady these days and helping out with some things. Or I mean, she works a lot too. Right now, we're both working a lot. So,
Right.
but it's nice to go home and give a fair share of duties around the house. So,
Absolutely. It's 100% each side when it comes to like relationship side of things.
exactly. So.
But if you love what you do, you never really go to work, as they say.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Okay. Well, so the fact that you made that decision to go ahead and say, I'm going to start flight training, can you kind of describe to me, did you have any expectation of what it would be like, and how did it turn out?
expectation, no, not really. Once
Mhm.
again, not much guidance. The closest guidance I have is my college buddies who are military,
Okay.
Air Force, who became pilots. Way different than the civilian side of things, right? But my expectation, I really just kind of decided to choose some goals that I anticipated to find
Okay.
at a flight school. There's so much on the internet that you can find in regards to different flight programs,
Mhm.
to what you can expect, but everyone's stories usually contradict each other.
Yeah.
One said they had an amazing time, and one said they said, "God, that was terrible."
Yeah.
Not Thrust, just in general at flight schools.
Yeah.
Um, so my expectation was more of like, don't expect anything because
Mm-hmm.
there's just something so contradictory. So I was like, okay, well, just want some goals when I'm going to choose a flight school, and whatever career path or the path to becoming a pilot.
Right.
So I just set some goals, and not even goals, but what I wanted to find at a flight school.
Right. I think that's a really interesting way to what's the word, handle like the ambiguity that you might be walking into. I think for me, I get often overwhelmed with too much information
Yeah.
because I'm like, well, then how do I make sense of all that? I can't wrap my head around all of this, especially without ever actually having had done it. And I don't know anyone personally. If I'm looking into something, I don't know anyone who does it. I get that way. And what a cool idea to sit there and think, well, then maybe I don't know what they're going to give me, but what do I want out of it? I think there's a lot of clarity there when you do that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
absolutely. But there's a ton of information, right?
Yeah.
There's a ton of information when going into flight programs or even just learning how to fly, Part 61 versus like a 141 setting here. It's
Right.
just so much. And especially if you have no one to kind of help break that information down for you,
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of just trying to filter it out yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that to be super true, that there's just so much. So I might as well just try to find something that sets some wants, I guess, from the program or for
Yeah.
whatever I go to,
Mm-hmm.
whatever school meets those wants, then
Yeah.
that's what I would kind of move forward with.
Awesome. Awesome. And so you did land with us here at Thrust. I'm curious. You get into your flight training a little bit, and there must be some things that you weren't really. What was the newest thing to you about aviation that, especially something you didn't expect?
Right. Full flying for one.
Yeah.
If you ever never get in the cockpit
Uh-huh.
of like a big like general aviation one, being in the cockpit for the first time and flying it for the first time is definitely something that you can't prepare for,
Yeah.
regardless of sims and videos and stuff that you watch. It's so different, right? But the biggest, I guess, unexpected thing for me was the community kind of around Thrust.
Mm-hmm.
Started with a big class in July of 2024. About
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like 20 of us that started private.
Right.
Kind of found a lot of cohesion in that, where everyone's willing to help each other out.
Right.
Once again, kind of reading stories. Some people are like, I was solo the whole time. No one was willing to help me.
Yeah.
I didn't find that at Thrust, especially with my cohort. Everyone's willing to help out. Everyone's willing to share their experiences when it comes to even their struggles in flying or what they're experiencing day of training.
Right.
So I wasn't expecting that. That was something I was looking for, one of those goals that I was shooting for. So I'm glad it ended up turning into fruition there. So.
Okay, great. And that's there's a lot of things that are great call out there. But I guess there's still a lot to think about to navigate when you hear that. And so my question would be, what is it that you like so much about flying, or that maybe is there some sort of ambition that keeps you driven to handle all the new stuff and meeting new people and things like that?
Right. I mean, that's a great question. There's a lot of goals, I guess, that,
Mm-hmm.
Us as pilots try to find, the next step, right? The bigger plane, the more advanced things.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a nice motivator, eventually getting up there, it'd be, you'd be remiss to not think about the money aspect of it when you eventually get to the airlines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or wherever you want to go.
Right.
That's always a great motivator. I find a lot of serenity in flying,
Mm-hmm.
up in the cloud by yourself, even with a student. You're able to you're kind of your own like little group inside the plane. You're
Right.
flying, learning, and being a pilot, you have to be hungry to learn
Mm-hmm.
initially. A good pilot's always learning.
Yeah.
So to say that you would like be not enjoy learning would be like, man, that'd be tough to be a pilot.
Yeah.
So I enjoy the learning side of things, and flying is so
Mm.
and being so serene for me that I get to go up and do it every day is very blessed.
Right. What is it? If you don't mind, I want to double down a little bit on the learning thing because obviously I think career benefits are pretty clear. I mean,
Right.
there's a lot of cool things about it. You get to where you want to go, and you're gonna enjoy
Right.
certain parts of that for sure. But the learning side of things, I think there's a lot of people who probably would relate to not understanding, enjoying learning,
Sure.
right? So could you tell me a little bit about what it is that you like about learning?
Yeah, I love learning. I like to. My mind works where I like to understand how things function. So
Mm-hmm.
for like a bigger plane would be like hydraulic system. I like to be able
Right.
to explain that to someone. But it also makes me feel like more safe when I understand. The more you know, the better, the easier it would be to like avoid like bad outcomes.
Yeah.
But learning in general, there's tough days. Absolutely, there are things that you don't really want to learn,
Mhm.
but if you pick and choose what you want to learn, then it won't turn out very well for you. I enjoy the learning aspect. It's just the being like, how does this operate? How
Right.
does this work? I find joy in just being able to share that, like with my wife, even though she probably doesn't care to listen about
Yeah.
hydraulic systems and all that. But it's just interesting. The more makes me feel more like a pilot, I guess,
Right.
or more like in whatever I'm wanting to do.
Yeah. I've always been someone I was always one of those people that said, well, I mean, if I'm interested in it, I can learn it. I
Right.
can focus really well.
Right.
I've always admired the people who could focus regardless of how much they enjoyed what they were doing. They just would lock in and get the thing done. I will say, it seems like with aviation, it's just is more interesting.
Right.
Likely, a lot of times people find themselves here because, well, yeah, there's some benefits on the career side, but I think it's just inherently more interesting. When I look at one of these planes, I mean, the wings don't move like a bird's. You know what I
No.
mean? They got this thing on the front that spins,
Mm.
and it's made of metal, or certain kinds of metal, anyways.
Right.
But and it makes me wonder, like, how does this go in the air? How do we fly this? And
Exactly.
that's interesting to me.
Exactly. And I feel like aviation started with that question, like, how
Mhm.
do you fly? How does
Yeah.
the bird fly? And then you start building different things. So,
Right.
um, I don't know, kind of praise on the spirit of curiosity, I guess. So, like,
Hmm.
okay, as you're saying, okay, this metal brick, how does it fly? And then, okay, let's go figure out how it does it. So,
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of that. So I don't think everyone. I guess one question I would have would be, did you expect to learn in depth about so much of what makes the plane fly when you thought about becoming a pilot?
no, I mean, there's so much when it comes to learning how these things fly and
Hmm.
what even allows them to do so. Pilots wear a bunch of hats. It's not just being a pilot, you're
Right.
also an engineer and then a doctor for like all your aeromedical physiology stuff. And so you wear so many hats.
Yeah.
So when I first got in, I was like, okay, well, they're just going to tell me the propeller spins really, really fast and it just makes you fly.
Yeah.
And it goes so much more in depth than that.
Hmm.
So I think this prepares us a lot more for real world flying once you want to become like a commercial or private
Yeah.
type of flying. But they
Mm.
prepare you beyond this thing spins really fast
Right.
and then you go fly. There's so much more to it. But no, to answer your question, I didn't expect to go as in depth as we ended up doing.
And I like when people tell me when I sit across from them, they'll say something about I didn't know I was going to learn so much about weather, and but I mean it's a big part of how it flies and what you have to
It
do when you're
is.
flying a plane. I guess I want to zoom out a little bit more again. There's a lot of preparation that goes into creating a pilot that can have a career flying planes or around planes in the first place.
Mhm.
And we are a career focused program. That's why we're an accelerated Part 141 school. I guess my question to you would be about uh, was there anything from your previous work that sort of, at least maybe the skills you had to use in your previous work, that got to transfer over into what you're doing now?
Yeah, it's a great one. Not 100% positive that much transferred over.
I
I was
mean,
working, I was in the vet industry,
right.
medical side of things.
Hmm.
That aspect a little bit, as I said, talked about earlier, I have to learn some medical factors for
Hmm.
that people experience.
Yeah.
That sure. I'd be more thinking that like the work ethic that I had prior to that, it'd be more relating into college, the way I studied, the way
Mm,
I would kind of like dive into things. I feel like that would transfer over more
right.
than the actual job I did prior. Being a vet tech, I just kind of worked with pets. I'd bring
Yeah.
them back, do whatever we got to do, bring them back,
Right.
explain things to them. So that side, no, not really. I guess the one thing that would have transferred over is that
Mhm.
I've always been a kind of extroverted person.
Okay.
So being vet tech, I would talk to a bunch of different people.
Mm,
And then being in aviation, being able to talk not only to students to explain things,
mhm.
but also eventually once you get a little bit bigger, you have to talk to people. So I feel like
Exactly.
that part transferred over, but not much like skill based wise.
And that's fair. I think that I hear a lot of people say how important it is to talk to other
Right.
people, and it almost sounds like it's all set up for someone who's naturally social or
Mm.
extroverted, like what you're saying. But even just you being in that job or even going to college could have helped develop some of those skills. I'm curious, can you speak a little bit on the importance that community in aviation has affected you in your journey so far?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Aviation in general, as big as it seems right now, is still one of the smallest like communities and job markets like out there, right?
Right.
It's very niche. We're in a major hub here in Dallas, but if you start leaving the big cities and go to like small towns, you won't find very many pilots there.
Mm,
So building yourself a community, once again, kind of going back to my cohort when we're going through the program, there's still guys that now work here
mm,
at Thrust that were part of that community.
right.
Um, but I've built lifelong friends, I feel like, outside of that, from not only doing things at work with each other, but outside of the work environment.
Mm,
As I said, talked to Sean recently, and Shout out the Fly Boys softball team.
Okay.
But yeah, we do that outside of it. But it's very important to surround yourself in people that understand what you're going through.
Right.
As I said, I have a wife, I have mom and all that I talk to about the struggles I had when I was going through as a student, but they don't really understand that aspect of it. So having a group of buddies that were in the trenches, as they say, with you,
Right.
they really help you understand that you're not alone in that. Because if you don't have anybody around you that knows aviation, they're like, oh, well, that seems cool, but they don't really understand the struggles to get to that point is.
Right, and I think that's two of the most consistent things besides the weather comment
Yeah.
that people have talked about in the past 90 or so episodes here is the sense of community of people who are doing the same thing and pushing for the same way that you are, because it kind of puts into perspective that, hey, we're all pushing. It's not just you. You're not dumb. You're not incapable.
No.
None of those things. And also, there's always someone outside of it that says, hey, I don't know what's going on, but I support you. And those things you can't take those things for granted, I guess.
No.
So I just say that if you have those two things, if you're someone who's thinking about flight training and you don't know if you can do it, if you find somewhere where you can, talk to other people going through the same thing you are, and you have someone outside of it that is, supportive of you, you're probably set up for some success.
Right.
Not automatically, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, as I was saying, you can find that community wherever you go. If you feel like you don't have somebody waiting, on the outside, like supporting you, you can find that support system here with Thrust.
Yeah.
Or any flight school, but
Right.
biased at Thrust, of course.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't guarantee what other flight schools have. I'm sure aviation itself is a great community,
right?
But Thrust, that tends to be some of the most positive feedback we get is the community.
Yeah, we definitely try to foster it, and we have not only students that try to build that, but we have our staff here attempts to try to build that community amongst them. So
right, yeah, and I'm glad that that's happening. I go over there all the time and I talk to people. So there's actually another thing I was thinking about. The last time you were here, I guess it's only been about a month or so. I do want to ask you the question though. What has anything changed for you? Have you come to understand something a little bit better than in the past 4 or so weeks?
The biggest thing, I've just started getting some new students. That'd be my first in their ratings. So I've got some private students.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're always like changing like small, minute things that maybe I would have done a month ago. And I'm like, okay, I found that might not be as efficient if I would have done it a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Major things, probably not.
Yeah.
But small things and like my teaching that I give, talking with more senior instructors, like, hey, this is
Right.
what I did. That didn't turn out too well. What would you think? Those guys give a lot of great insight to us newer guys. Major things, I wouldn't say huge changes, but there are small and minute things that I don't need to focus on this is so much, and this seems to be more beneficial for the students. So
Right. And you mentioned gaining some new private students.
Yeah.
That's a task.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
You're taking someone who has likely not even been in a small prop plane before.
Yeah.
And you're going to take them up, and they're going to be responsible for flying this plane in a few weeks.
Right.
Maybe in a matter of 4 to 8 weeks, they should be able to take it up, fly it, and land it by themselves.
Take
right.
it back.
Yeah. So, can you talk to me a little bit about? I know you just kind of got some of these students, but what's your experience so far there?
A lot of enthusiasm. It takes. You can get one side of the coin, someone that's excited. Got bit by the bug of aviation, and they're just ready to hop in the plane. And then I found on the flip side, they know they want to do it. They just don't know what to expect. So you kind of encourage them in several different ways. But you find that usually, regardless of what side, either enthusiasm or nervousness, but excited to be there, once you get in the plane, it usually subsides.
Right.
But
and I'm curious, do you have a piece of advice for either of those types of students if they may find themselves in that bucket?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So if you're enthusiastic, awesome. We're just as excited to be flying with you guys as you guys are. Preparation is always key. If once again, a good pilot's always learning. So if you come in prepared with some expectation, we try not to surprise you in that. And if you're on the other side of the coin, more of anxious, nervous, but excited to be flying, that's totally normal. If you have no expectations, as I said, I have nobody fly on my side. So I came in with little to no experience. So I came in excited to be there, but also nervous that you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
But just know that we're here for a reason. We're there to make sure no matter what happens, you're safe. So your first couple flights just there to have fun, be excited, to get you go transitioning from the nervousness
Mm-hmm.
to being excited to fly every day. So
Right. And I like to think about this sometimes. Uh, we have this whole program. There's 6 ratings.
mhm,
You have to go start at private and make your way through the rest and get your multi, and then it's like, oh, I'm a pilot. But I mean, once you get your private, you're a pilot.
right.
And I guess I just like to think about that sometimes. I wonder when that confidence or that maybe security in yourself kind of kicks in.
Sure.
What would you say about that for yourself? Was there a moment when you're like, I feel much more confident now?
Yeah, usually after their students first solo,
Mm,
that's when I see a lot of the switch, because a lot of it, bringing up to that, it's pretty quick. 8 to 10 hours ish is the usual to submit someone for solo.
yeah.
Um, so usually beforehand, you have the safety net of the CFI, right?
Right.
If something goes wrong, even if I'm, might not do a great landing or not, see if I can take over. And and I feel a lot of students go from, I don't know if I can do it, to after their solo, well,
Right.
I did it, so I must know. Students know more than they think they do.
Mm,
With the safety net of the instructor, they kind of rely on that to
hmm.
some degree. But once you take the CFI out, well, it's up to you. Once the plane goes up, it's coming down.
Yeah.
So I feel a lot of students. Once again, we're never going to send you on that portion unless we know. The CFI usually are more confident in their students, and the students are confident in themselves.
Right.
But we're never going to send anybody unless we know that they can bring it up and bring it down safely.
Hmm.
But usually, I feel like students have that, like the click of, oh, I can do this after
Right.
that initial solo, because
It's
they can do it. They did it, so now they're confident in their own ability.
Yeah. I think that's always an interesting thing I've kind of thought about too. Is it- what I kind of want. I'm curious about what happens in someone's mind when they know they don't have like a backup or like something or someone to save them.
Right.
And why it kicks more gears going, because you kind of, I guess it's an instinct thing.
I
But
think so. I think a lot of it is because basically what we're training them to do is, regardless of what happens, they rely on the training that we've given them.
hmm.
So as I said before, with the instructor, yeah, they can rely on it, but if something goes really wrong, we'll take over and take care of it for them. When we're out, they really focus in on their training. Okay, my instructor told me to do this, so let's
Right.
do that. I'm going to shoot for this airspeed, this flap setting, etc. So I think that's the instinctual part that
Hmm.
happens, where it goes from, okay, I can kind of get my way through, to, okay, I was taught this, let's do it this way, and it should turn out okay.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And then to your point, to having faith, having faith in your instructor in the way that they have faith in you,
Mhm.
it will allow you to kind of take some of that back and be like, I
Right.
can do this,
Right.
and try to just approach it with some sort of confidence, I guess. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now that you're a CFI at the moment,
Mhm.
you're a working pilot essentially,
Yeah.
and maybe this isn't. Some people want to be a CFI for a long time because this is what they really enjoy. And I think you enjoy it from our last
Yeah.
conversation. I remember that. Uh, what's sort of something that you plan on doing next? Like, is there a goal for you, or are you just kind of taking it day by day?
Right. Yeah. I think it's great to have career goals.
Hmm.
Shoot for the stars. Right. I love what I do. I love teaching. I did it through
Yeah.
college, and I love doing it now, teaching to fly an airplane.
Uh-huh.
Definitely would like to take the next step. I would love to work for like Envoy or American Airlines one day. That's kind of
Right.
like the goal airlines I'm shooting for. Um, Heard back from recently, which is great. So hopefully here soon. But that's kind of my goal. I don't have, like, I'm not a, okay, commercial airlines is the only thing I'm going to do.
Yeah.
If some cool opportunity arose,
Hmm.
outside of like the commercial guys, I would never shut the door on it.
Yeah.
I'm open to any opportunity to fly something fast and cool and big, and um, but I don't mind hanging out for a while either. So
Right. Right. Uh, and again, I know you're not you. This program, flight training costs a lot of money.
yeah,
Our program costs a lot of money. Most accelerated programs do at this point,
yeah,
especially because they're focused on the career side of it all. In terms of getting you somewhere where you can make a career out of the training you get here,
right,
and I think that's the goal for at least our program. Um, that being said, taking out a lot of money means that at some point you have to get to a certain point to where you can pay that back.
right.
If you're someone who's done that, now at least in your shoes, you've made it to where you are at least getting paid to be a pilot at
Right.
this point. Can you? I haven't really asked anyone this question yet, but I mean, you've probably received your first few paychecks
Yeah.
as a CFI,
Yeah.
right? Is there any sort of light bulb moment or click or reward in that?
There is. I
Yeah.
mean, as you mentioned, you kind of go from being the student one day, and
Mhm.
then eventually, yes, you still get your CFI rating and then the double I, but you're still a student with thrust until you complete the multi if that's the program you'd select to do.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it really is a switch moment. Like, okay, I could now teach students. You might do it, here and there,
Mhm.
but working with thrust and then eventually getting a paycheck, you're like, oh man, like I'm a paid pilot. I'm beyond just going to fly, renting a plane and going out and fly. I actually
Yeah.
get paid. They trust me to not only treat students, but they're paying me to do so. So it's
Yeah.
a pretty cool moment. It's kind of like a full circle moment. I
Yeah.
remember day one at Thrust when I was, we did Thrust Day and everyone's getting their ratings. And I
Yeah.
see some of those CFIs that were there still here now and going from, wow, they're done and I'm just starting, and then now being the total opposite, now being the black shirt, sitting in there enjoying some Chick-fil-A,
Yeah.
watching all the students, new ones come in and some getting their ratings. It's kind of full circle moment from being the man, it's so cool that they're getting paid to teach me how to fly to I'm now getting paid to teach them how to fly. So,
Right.
and within really a year's span, so it really does go full circle.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say there's a wow, like aha moment of I'm getting paid. It's kind of like a just surreal to be in that position, to be like, okay, I same place that I started 0 hours, to now I'm teaching the 0 hours now for being private. So it's kind of
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, I think that's I kind of underestimated that, or I guess I don't know why I hadn't thought about that a whole lot. But you guys, especially people who have left other careers, you're changing careers, and you go through this training, and when you become a CFI, I keep thinking about how you're still on your journey,
Hmm.
because you are. I mean, this is
Right.
forever, I guess, if you're gonna stay in this industry.
Sure.
But getting to the CFI is a pretty big checkpoint,
It is.
and I would kind of just breeze through it sometimes more than I expect to. Did you always knew you were going to become a CFI
Yeah.
at some point in time?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. As I said, I enjoy teaching. I think it's interesting. Did it through college and
Right.
do it now. It was one of the goals that I wanted to do, being
Mhm.
able to almost pay it forward
Mhm.
in the industry, being from my CFIs teaching me to be the pilot I am today, and
Right.
then wanting to share that knowledge. Trapping knowledge is never great in aviation, so
Mhm.
but it was always a part of my journey to
Yeah.
become a CFI. One, as I said, because I love doing it, and then two, being paid to teach somebody is pretty cool too.
Right.
So
I'm curious of what motivations you had and to want to change your career, to want to kind of make a change, and it could be just professional or lifestyle or money or whatever. But I guess I'm just curious about what kind of pushed you a little bit.
yeah, once I was kind of doing that career for through high school through college. So
Mhm.
at the point of me deciding to move, I was about 7 to 8 years
Mhm.
in that career field.
Mhm.
Um, And as I started progressing through, you get promoted as you move through it. So I ended up being the office manager at the last place I was doing. I
Mhm.
was just doing that for 1 year to
Right.
get in-state tuition for my vets program,
Nice.
and becoming that basically the highest step I can do without being the doctor. I became a lot of like the outlet for a lot of the veterinarians there.
Mhm.
And I saw a lot of their day-to-day routines. I saw the struggles that they dealt with, and it opened my eyes to a lot of like you hear about it a lot, but until I really became that level and became like their outlet, I
Right.
didn't really understand it. Um, so I decided then by hearing what they were doing and seeing what their day to day was,
Mhm.
more of a like yes you're up and about, but it really what became like a desk job.
Yeah.
Um, that's not something that I really decided I wanted to do. I never wanted to do the desk job type of thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, what is something that I can transition to?
Mhm.
And you start looking around. As I said, I had friends in college that were Air Force pilots now.
Mm.
And I was like, that sounds really, really cool. I did a little
Yeah.
recreational flying prior to leaving college. And so that's what I started researching it. And I was like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So
Would you
um,
say that the aviation bug bit you around that
I
time?
would, I would. It
Yeah.
was, and I like to fixate on things like that. So once I start researching it, it's a bad trend. I'm down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I
that
kept
way.
going and going and going, and I was like, yes, I got more excited the more I got into it, and I was like, that's what I need to do.
So did it on paper did it make sense for you at the time? I mean, you I think you were already married by that
Hmm.
point, right?
Hmm.
And I don't know, just changing careers is scary to
It is.
me. I think there's a lot of people who think about doing it. Maybe some people who know they really want to do it, but still maybe never do it. Um, I guess I'm just a little curious. Was there anything there that kind of didn't make sense to you on paper?
Um, yes and no. Once again, kind of was shooting blind.
Yeah.
You have all that information. and so you're trying to help filter it out to get the information that you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always on the road of there's never a perfect time for anything.
Right.
If you really wait for the perfect time, then you'll never end up doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little girl now, and that was the same conversation we had of if we wait to have children, we'll never have them. If you can financially support them, then you're way too late in your career, or if you hit the lottery, which is nice.
Yeah.
But no, so that's kind of how I was going about the philosophy when I was talking with my wife. I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. And she was like, okay, we'll look into it. And then once I said, do what makes you happy. Mm-hmm. So we looked, and we just recently moved out there. I mean, we only lived in Mississippi for about 7 months. So moving and then moving back was a huge ordeal.
Right.
So there's a lot of moving parts into that. But paper-wise, no. I mean, I knew I wanted to do it. I did the research to I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Dallas. I'm going to do some tours with some schools.
Right.
And choose whichever one I go to. So paper-wise, it was just a lot of moving parts, but we kind of we kind of understood how it was going to work out. But once again, just if we waited for the perfect time to be a pilot, I would have probably never done it.
Yeah, you don't want to. You can't wait for all your ducks to be in a row to do anything. You kind of got to go for it. And I guess that's part of why I asked that question is I think there's a lot of reasons you can come up with why not to. Right. I guess, and you. For a lot of people, it seems like the thing that tends to, no matter how responsible and logical we want to claim to be as humans, I guess, the thing that tends to push people over the edge that I'm seeing is they just really wanted to.
Right.
Like there was a little bit of a passion, there's a little bit of a curiosity that said, I really want to do this. This is the biggest loan I'll ever take out. This is the biggest move I'll ever make. This is the most foreign thing I could ever learn. And yet I purely just desired to do it, and so I'm gonna do it.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. There's once again a lot of unknowns, so it's almost like a leap of faith.
Yeah,
Once again, chasing your passion. If you're passionate to come over here, or just something you just desire to do, you just have to take the leap and do it. Yeah. As you said, your ducks aligned. The stars are not fully aligned, but I'm glad I made the jump that time.
Yeah. Well, looking back and seeing where maybe you were at when you first started, really fresh, and now you're still learning a lot of things in your new position, but you've come a long way. Is there anything that what's really changed for you in terms of that curiosity and that passion? Has anything changed? Is it still alive in the same way?
Yeah, I would definitely say I still love what I do. I still look at the planes fly by me every single day.
Right.
I still look up if you hear something. So the passion and the joy of flying is still there. Just I guess the goal has been a little bit different. Before, when I first started school, my goal was to complete the program. You know, next rating. Now my goal is more. I have the goal of going to Envoy, American, etc. But my goal is really just day by day, just enjoy the flying while I'm in it.
Right.
Pilots say, especially when you're talking about people in the next level, is us are here at the Archers stare at the guys that are flying the Gulfstreams and the A320s, and then vice versa, the guys in the A320s are staring at the guys in the Cessnas, wishing they can be in an Allen.
Yeah.
So the grass is greener on the other side, right?
Exactly.
Enjoy the path, enjoy the walk to get to your area. That's what I like to tell people nowadays. Enjoy the time that you are a student and you're flying the 172 or the Piper Archer, because there is one day inevitably that you will be in the A320 or the 777 or whatever your eventual goals are. But there's always someone on the other side that's looking back at you, wishing they could be there. So.
Yeah, and I guess on that note, the opportunity to be a CFI is sort of a unique position in aviation. In the sense that you are getting to fly the planes you're getting to fly. You are getting to work with a lot of people who care about aviation. There is a lot of curiosity going on.
Right.
And to a lot of people, like, oh, that's so turmoil. There's a lot of turmoil there in terms of, like, it's uneven. There's a lot of change in what's going on. And there's a lot of nuances and friction throughout the day. But I feel like that sort of friction is kind of what makes it a little more interesting sometimes. So anyways, would you say, what do you think what's the most to get out of being a CFI? And maybe not the most, but could you name some things that are what you get out of being a CFI?
Yeah, I get a lot of satisfaction out of being a job and joy to see that my students pass. The biggest goal I would say being a CFI is you're not don't just be there for like the hours, right? You know,
Right.
hours will come as you are instructing.
Hmm.
You have to find something more tangible than that.
Yeah.
I find the success of my students, you know, going through their stage checks or CF or their EOCs or check rides,
Hmm.
passing that's the goal. I
Right.
find a lot of like tangible success in just watching them be successful, and
Yeah.
it's not always as big as they got a new rating. It's as simple as the I like the click moment where
Hmm.
they go from I've never been able to land or I could never do that to just
Hmm.
doing it themselves and not me having to do anything to kind of teach them that anymore.
Right.
It's the little steps that, and I feel like CFIs see that a lot more than the students see that in themselves.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, that went terribly today. And they're like, well, actually, you did X, Y, and Z really, really well for the first time today.
Yeah.
And those are little steps. So I find a lot of success and like gratification from seeing my students succeed.
Right. That makes sense. And was there any moment where you considered maybe not being a CFI and doing some sort of other way to work as a pilot and build hours?
Right. I looked at other routines, but I always found teaching was what I was passionate to do.
Hmm.
I've enjoyed the teaching side of things for such a long time. There are
Hmm.
so many other routes that you can go
Yeah.
beyond being a CFI.
Right.
I feel like the hours are more tangible when it comes to like the next level.
Right.
Um, but also it allows you learn way more instructing people how to fly than you ever did learning how to fly.
Right. Yeah, and that I guess that's something I again hear a lot is it's being a CFI. Part of the unique position that it is that you get to learn a lot. You
Hmm.
get to learn a lot. You're not really in a chamber of like only learning what's relevant to you.
Hmm.
You're still kind of learning generally what aviation is. So that sounds really interesting to me. What is it that you feel like someone should know about aviation before getting started? At least flight training, anyways.
Flight training. If I would have to give a something is, no one expects anybody to come out here and just be God's gift to aviation.
Hmm.
Day one private's not going to come out here and rock star maneuvers and
Mm.
landings, and some people have that expectations on themselves that they need to come out here and be perfect. That's not what we're shooting for. You know, we're
Right.
shooting to have improvement every single day, day to day. As you every flight, every lesson, you improve on something until eventually it becomes a whole picture.
Right.
Um, so I would tell students, take it slow and
Hmm.
do not put these huge expectations on yourself. All that does is I find students that do that, they dig themselves a hole.
Yeah.
And you're like, they're more disappointed, and then they look over at us and we're not disappointed at all. We're like, we're happy that you accomplished this, and this. Why are
Yeah.
you beating yourself up on something that we don't expect you to be there?
Yeah.
You know, we don't. So telling new students or going into flight training, have yourself some goals, but don't make them astronomical. You're
Mm.
learning a new skill. You know, you didn't hop into a car and day one know all the rules, regulations, and how to do it. You
Right.
know,
And I think a lot of what you're saying, what I'm hearing is about what it really means to be a student.
right?
Because I think that we see something that we need to achieve and we forget that being a student is how you achieve it in a way. I guess to my point here, um, if you're starting flight training, you're signing up to be a student.
Right.
And a student is someone who's learning something that is new to them. You know what I mean? It's not about proving yourself. It's not necessarily about you know, impressing anyone.
Right.
Are you coming in here to learn? And if you have your I guess your motivations correct, or if you have your eye on the prize, it should be necessarily that. And you seem like you're pretty focused on that. I'm curious, what kind of makes someone? What students do you see tend to thrive the most, and maybe run into the least roadblocks?
Um, the ones that are kind of what you were just saying, that
Mm.
aren't there for. Some people try to surround themselves as I'm a pilot versus what they're like. They almost like make their identity based off of the career that they're choosing
Right.
versus the passion to do so. Thrust tries to, we have healthy like competitiveness inside of with the cohorts, right? That's why we start you with so many people so
Right.
that you can kind of not compare yourself to them, but hey, this person's here. I want to also achieve that.
Yeah.
I find the most successful people surround themselves, one, in good company,
Right.
a supportive group, and then two, surround yourself with people that are way smarter than you. That's what I did. I'm
Mhm.
not the sharpest crayon in the box, but I
Mhm.
surrounded myself with good friends that are going through the program with me, and then also they're smarter than me. I can learn from them,
Mhm.
but also we have the instructors here. That's what we're for. We're not here to push you guys away. We're here to answer those questions
Right.
when you're here and your struggles. A lot of people try to hide their struggles, um, or they're like ashamed of the struggles that they have. As you mentioned, you're here
Yeah.
to be a student. You're not. We didn't hire you or sign you up to be day one professional pilot.
Right.
You're here to progress through that. So the students that find the most success are one have some level of humility, I guess, and understanding, or going to their friends or other CFIs like, hey, I'm struggling with
I
this.
see. Yeah.
What can my CFI is saying this? Do you have another perspective? And see if they have something that can help them along. Nobody learns the same way.
Right.
So students have humility and show those, in quotation, weaknesses or struggles during the training to reach for improvement or see if someone else has a different insight versus someone who hides it and pretends that they're the best or
Right.
that they're not struggling. I seem to see a lot more success and they progress a lot quicker that
Yeah.
way.
I can imagine, because I've been someone who's been hung up on what I've lacked when I'm trying to do something, but then kind of allow that to overshadow, what I've progressed in and what I've achieved.
Right.
And I think that's an easy, when you desire to grow and learn, like that's kind of easy for that to happen. But you should still be able to do that. From where you're at now, you've been on this journey for a little while, and you've kind of gotten to a place to where you get to kind of just soak up where you're at. Do you feel like there's a little bit more? Uh, are you getting something more out of being a CFI? And when it comes to your love for flying, are you
Right.
getting more out of being a CFI of something specific than you did as a student? If that makes sense.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Once again, being my student, my goals were a little bit different, right? It was next rating, try to get to eventually to the point where I am now. Stepping stones to get to being a CFI that's making some money, right?
Right.
And now it's just kind of transitioned, right? Going from learning something specific every single day.
Mhm.
Now I'm learning different ways to teach. I'm growing my own knowledge in aviation as a CFI. But regardless of being a student to now being a CFI, I'm still walking the path, right? You mentioned earlier, we're still on a journey as being a CFI to the next level, whether
Right.
it be being American or being something more private.
Yeah.
It's all still a journey.
Yeah.
So I guess my goals or like my satisfactions that I was getting being a student are a little bit different. Then it was passing the stage check, that's exciting, getting my next rating, that's exciting.
Right.
And now more as a CFI, it's my students about to pass their stage check, my students about to pass this.
Right.
But a big thing, I'm enjoying flying outside of I'm still in a training environment, right? I'm teaching now, but I try to tell students, especially when they find that point of like really struggling, of not only enjoy, like, yes, you're in a training environment, but enjoy just flying.
Right.
Enjoy, take a moment, a couple minutes or so just to forget that you're training and just remember that your passion for flying is that you're up in the air.
Right.
You're flying. You're here. For me, a year ago, I would have never been. I would have been like, okay, flying a little plane, teaching people would have been like, wow, that's just a thought, right?
Exactly.
And now I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So, enjoying the journey and then getting some more satisfaction at the end. But
Yeah.
satisfaction's a little different, yeah,
Yeah.
because I got different things that I'm choosing satisfaction, but I'm still getting that excitement and purpose through flying. So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I just imagine getting into something for a reason and hoping that stays true all the way through. And it seems like you've been able to manage your enjoyment for flying at very least, let alone discover a lot of new ways to enjoy aviation.
right, absolutely.
So that's pretty awesome. But I mean, we've talked about a lot of things here. I don't. I could probably ask you questions all day, but I guess I'll ask you this question to maybe before we begin to wrap up. Is there like any single takeaway here from your journey of deciding to change careers and now getting to where you're at? Is there some sort of takeaway that you'd like to kind of highlight, something that you're happy about or satisfied with, or like to let other people know about?
One, happy with the decision I made to take that leap of faith, right? Guess kind of like some advice I would give is don't compare yourself to other people. Comparing yourself to other people will just kind of suck the joy out of it. I could sit here and be like, oh man, I should have done this 4 years ago, and I would have been here, and here.
Yeah.
Some of the students I'm teaching now are 18, 19 years old. I'm like, man, I wish I made that decision when I was 18, 19 years old, but that just sucks the joy out of it.
Yeah.
So the advice is don't compare yourself to people. The journey is the same. The struggles are the same, the journey's the same, and you will end up in the same spot. Regardless if you are in your 40s versus in your 20s,
Yeah.
the journey's still the same. And don't compare yourself. Enjoy the road to reach the goal that you want to do. That'd be my biggest advice.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's great. I think that's great. I just like to hear the idea of what it means to you at this point where you're at, and, based on the decision you made a little while back.
Right.
And because there's people, if you're listening or you're watching, who are considering again, maybe starting flight training, or there's people who are in flight training now and they're thinking like, did I make the right choice? And that's normal. I would feel like, and I just want you guys to be able to walk away with something that at least you would want to say to them. And that, to me, I feel like that's very applicable no matter what.
Right.
So, again, thank you again, Austin, for being on this episode of Pilots Say What, where we get to hear what pilots have to say. My name is Zach, your host week to week here on this podcast. So if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, those ratings really help us out. Our Spotify Wrapped we put on our Instagram, it was kind of cool. We got our own creator Spotify Wrapped. We got to see all these people who are listening to us from all over the world.
Yeah, like it was almost like in Australia and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it
was kind of interesting. I'm like, are they just using VPNs? Like, what is that? But
maybe.
Hey, if you guys are listening to me with my American accent, then I appreciate you. I don't know what that's like for you, but anyhow, if you're on YouTube, the comment sections are a great place for community. And of course, like and subscribe if you're still listening. We'll see you all on the next episode of Pilots Say What. Thank you.